Welcome to the Becoming Eva podcast, where we discuss real-life issues from a woman's perspective.
Becoming Eva seeks to break the silence within the female community while fostering authenticity, transparency, and healing.
We're your hosts, Latoya Moore
and Maya Dawson.
Let's get started.
Happy Saturday!
Happy Saturday!
Happy Saturday! We made it, y'all. We made it.
Yes.
This is the season 6 finale. And I don't know about you, Toy, but I was reflecting on this season and it was a little rough. we had a lot of hiccups in the beginning. You know, we had a late start to getting things flowing. We were trying to be in the studio more and we were working out technical difficulties there. But y'all, we made it. So cheers to season 6.
Yes, I would say this season has been a growth season for us as it relates to expanding our different guests that we've had on this season and on figuring out the technology stuff in the studio. That was a huge accomplishment, I think, for us this season as well.
Absolutely. I feel like each season gets better and better and better. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for God's faithfulness and just allowing us to continue to grow as we walk this thing out. So woo. We made it, y'all. Now, y'all, we have some very special guests with us this morning. Hopefully, too, some familiar faces, because I know we have actually featured both of them as special guests. It's been a minute, so I'm glad y'all are back and available. But yes, let's go ahead and do our introductions.
Yes, I have the pleasure of introducing my sister, Stephanie Worthon. Stephanie grew up in Missouri before heading to college at Duke University. After wrapping up her studies in cultural anthropology and global health, she moved to Austin, Texas, where she began her career in tech. She has worked for 3 major tech companies, including Google, where she currently works as a solutions architect. Woohoo! Cheers for the tech girl. Stephanie is on her journey to empower underrepresented women to live their lives they're called to live by leading a Christ-centered life. She runs a small candle business called Unwind by Steph. I absolutely love all of her scents. And she loves indulging in all things self-care. And you know we love self-care on Becoming Eva.
Yes.
She's not making candles. You can catch her cuddled up on her couch, watching a true crime documentary, reading, or whipping up a delicious meal to share with friends and family. Stephanie loves doing a lot of home-cooked dishes, and I love it because, you know, I'm a foodie.
I love it. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I will introduce our second guest, the amazing Mishay Wilson. Like, I call her our #1 fan for Becoming Eva, but the amazing Mishay is a graduate of both Howard and Abilene. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Abilene Christian University. And she's also founder of Kingdom Crunk Radio, AAA, an urban Christian radio station with an emphasis on Christian hip hop and other gospel subgenres like rhythm and praise. We like to call it R&P, gospel reggae, gospel go-go, a DC style of music. And she has served as a co-host on a music business show for gospel artists. She's taught artists marketing and branding on other platforms and is involved in a host of other things, namely Trackstars, our husband's brand. So we're excited about that. She's faithfully served with Trackstars for years and does all of this while holding down a full-time job. God bless her. And should we say where your job is? Do you want to share where your 9 to 5 is, or should we keep that on the DL? It's up to you.
You can just say the feds.
There we go. She's working with the feds, y'all. She's working with the feds. Okay, but anyway. Among all these great things, Mishay also has the joy of encouraging others. She serves through her local church as well. And she's a godmother to three amazing kids. I meant to ask you earlier because this is an older bio. Has that number grown? Is it still three?
Not yet. They're looking for some god brothers and sisters for me, but um, if it be the Lord's will, uh, hope prayerfully that will be in the future. But
Yes.
for now, they just need to keep being amazing and doing great. My oldest godson is graduating this year, so they just need to keep focusing on that and
I
not worry.
love it. I love it. So she's a godmother of three amazing godchildren. And a perfect weekend for Mishay would be morning jogs, becoming Eva, whoop whoop. She be in them chats. We thank God for that. And track stars, virtual church or now in person, and binge watching Nollywood movies uninterrupted. Hallelujah for the Nollywood, while eating homemade keto ice cream with rainbow sprinkles, of course. So shout out to Mishay. We're so excited to have you this morning.
Thank you so much. And just a quick update: Kingdom Crunk Radio is in the middle of a rebrand and is now Kingdom Certified Radio. But thank you so much either way for highlighting it.
Hey, Kingdom certified. I love it. I love it. I will take it. That's good. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, ladies, I don't know if we've asked, but how's everyone's week been?
I've had a long week. I was working downtown when all of the like active shooter stuff happened.
Ooh.
That was like incredibly stressful. And so I was like, let me get out of here. Like I'm going home. And then like the news alerts were like, he is like near the battery. And I was like, I'm just driving in the same direction. So it was just really heavy, like thinking about you like nowhere feels safe. Like home can be scary. Work can be scary, but I'm feeling good now that like that situation was handled and it's the weekend, so I feel like I can breathe.
That is scary. And the fact that he targeted women. I mean, all of his victims were like women. Thankfully, only one person was actually killed, but still it's a life that's been lost. And then four wounded, all of them women. So
Yeah.
thankfully he's been captured.
And I had anxiety too when Stephanie, was texting me with the updates because, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like so close to like where she was, like the building where she was working. And then when she went home, I was like, no, no. I was like, stay away
from the windows.
Lock your doors. It's scary.
Real. Yeah.
Like a medical center, like who would think you're in there for a doctor's appointment? Like who would think that somebody's gonna come in and start shooting? Like crazy.
My goodness. We are in some crazy times, y'all. I mean, like the fact that we're not even halfway through the year and we've already had almost 200 like mass shootings in less than a year, less in 5 months. That's crazy. That's crazy. So thank God you were safe, Stephanie. And yeah, perfectly you'll continue to just, exhale and relax. Wow. How about you, Mishay? How was your week?
God is good.
Amen.
all the time. It's been a crazy past few weeks, but
No.
I won't complain. It's just like, but the funny thing about it is no matter how crazy it's been, like God always comes through in the end. So I'm like, okay, how a lot of people attribute everything to the devil. I kind of have been attributing everything to God stretching me. And I definitely feel like I've been being stretched. Yeah, it's been interesting to say the least. It's like I'll have a situation that maybe in the past would have made me break down and cry, or I'd be like, "Why me? Everything happens to me." But then, now I'm not doing that as much, or I'll be like, "Oh, I would have cried about this in the past," and then next thing I know, God works it out, or more recently, I'll have something that may be very minor, but if I haven't been getting rest, which has been my week, next thing I know, I am like, okay, crying and like, I'm not saying why me now, but I'm just crying like, God, I'm just trying to do right, and he still works it out. But that's why I see it as a stretching.
Amen.
So
Praise God for the proper perspective because, like you said, we have a decision to make, that whole glass half empty, half full, like whether or not we're going to attribute things to the enemy or God using it to stretch us. So I love that perspective. That's awesome. Wow. I would say my week, it has been a good week. I think God is teaching me how to pray through my challenges. I have been dealing with a lot of people issues, just in different areas where I engage with others. And God has been showing me for those extra grace required personalities. God is showing me how to pray for them, how to encourage them, how to support them, how to pray before I even come in contact with them, because I'm like, Lord, I need you to give me, the strength that I need in order to extend that grace to the person that may irritate me or that I may feel is like actually, out to get me or trying to sabotage whatever I'm working on or doing. So he's really been showing me how to pray for those people instead of talking about them, instead of getting angry or upset, and really trusting him in the process. So, but it's been a good week. It has been. Yeah. What about you, Toya?
This week, of course, it's been challenging, with work and family and different situations that have came up this week, and I feel like I'm I'm in a season of growth and in a season of trusting God and standing on his word while I'm going through these challenges, and just reminding myself that, God is Jehovah Jireh and he is my provider. I've been
Amen.
listening to that Maverick City song, Jireh, and
Mhm.
like just really upping my praise and worship
Mhm.
and getting into my word and strengthening my faith as I'm going through these challenges. But also I'm like, well, God, you're blessing me too, because I did get a new position for next year, and just like
Yeah.
going forward with a little bit of fear and a little bit of anxiety, but I'm trusting God along the way that he has given me everything that I need to do it. So
Amen. Amen. Faithful. I was actually thinking that same thing about how, God has been preparing you for this season without you even realizing it, namely with this promotion that you've gotten. So it's a promotion, y'all, not just a new position. So amen.
Mhm.
All right, y'all, let's dive on into what's trending. All right. So, first and foremost, the Met Gala was this week. I don't know if anyone had an opportunity to see some of the pictures of who was considered to be best and worst dressed. There was an appearance, there was a guest appearance, if you will, by a cockroach at the Met Gala. There was a pregnancy reveal at the Met Gala. There was a "Are they together, not together" at the Met Gala appearance. Like a lot was going on. So if anyone had the opportunity to either see any pictures or hear any conversations about the Met Gala this year, what are your thoughts?
I did have a chance to look at some of the photographs from that night and looking
Mhm.
at some of the interesting looks and outfits. I think I'm more of like a classic look. Like if I was to
Mhm.
ever go, mine would probably be so plain Jane, like nothing interesting. I saw like Kim Kardashian, like with the pearls covering like her bosom, and I was like, no
Mhm.
way, I could do that. Absolutely not, not for me. But like
Mhm.
I like the Nicole Kidman look, and I
Mhm.
thought Penelope Cruz's outfit was interesting as well. And there was just a lot of interesting looks, I'll say.
Yes, yes. We had a cat appearance, meow meow, from Doja Cat, and then the rose egg from Rihanna. So we had a lot of interesting looks. Any other thoughts about this year's Met Gala?
Yeah, I didn't get any of the tea, but I did look at some of the outfits, and I thought Janelle Monáe was like the most artistic. I really liked Yara Shahidi. I
Oh
felt
yeah, hers was
like, yeah, all the guys were kind of like plain Jane, but Tommy Hilfiger kind of like stepped out, and I was like, oh, okay. So those are my top three.
All right. Good stuff.
Yeah, I like the hard thing about this is that I started to go down a rabbit hole because I was like, okay, well, because I've always seen the Met Gala and was interested in what was going on. Only like just looking at the videos, I really didn't necessarily love all the other things. I don't know. I'm weird, and I think the older I get, the less I care about certain things. But I did want to know more about the Met Gala, so I looked into it to see like, okay, what does it generally consist of? And then I did know of Karl Lagerfeld when he was alive, but I did want to look a little bit more into it because I didn't know about him a lot. I just knew a little bit about him. Of course, the brand and everything. I didn't know much about him. So then I saw, information about like how he was known as a controversial person. So I say all that to say I went down a rabbit hole first, but I love the elegance of the thing, like the fact that he was so elegant and everything that they were doing to honor him was most things that was done to honor him was in line. Um, but even the things that kind of seem outlandish when you couple them with the personality of the person, it kind of made sense. So like
Mhm.
I found out, of course, that the people who were dressed as cats, like Doja Cat wasn't just a cat because her name's Doja Cat, but because Carl loved his cat and left
Mhm.
his cat a lot of money, more money than I have, and I never have been a cat person. See these, you see these rabbit holes that, yeah, I've never really been a
Mhm.
cat person, so to speak. But I was just wondering, um, anyway. Uh, but I also saw that Little Nas X. Praying for him, but
Mhm.
even in his extravagance, he was still kind of in line because I saw questions saying like, was this one theme and everything? And technically, it was. I mean, we know he's extra, and then we know that Carl loved this cat. And
Mhm.
then I also looked into, well, it kind of popped up. I'm not that nosy, but it showed that the rest of Carl's fortune went to uh, a muse of his. Okay.
Mhm. All right. Well, I was gonna say you did more research than I did. Can you tell us who Karl Lagerfeld was as it relates to the Met Gala?
yeah.
I know there were a lot of tributes towards him.
Yeah, well, he definitely he worked with a lot of brands like Chanel.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think like some of the major brands, but
He
it was
was a
interesting
designer.
because huh?
He was a designer, though.
He was a designer,
Okay,
yes,
got
yes, and he worked with a lot of major brands, and
it.
all everyone worked with him. So it was nice to like really, I guess, go down that rabbit hole because I did like
Yes,
I could really relate. Like I'm really weird. I
yes.
have to be able to make things relate to each other.
No, you like I said, you educated me, so I love it. I knew there were a lot of tributes to him, but and I kind of recognized his name, but I wasn't like, oh, let me see, who this person is. Like I was caught up in Serena Williams. She's expecting, so she did her pregnancy reveal there for her second child, and then there was a
Yes.
whole. Are they back together with Diddy and I think it's Young Miami? I don't know if it's one of the city girls. But they were, it was like, are they together? Are they not together? And then when somebody asked him, he was like pouring sweat. So everybody was like, he's sweating under the pressure. Like it was just a lot. So yes, but thank you for that info as well because I knew there was a tribute for Karl Lagerfeld, but I didn't make the connection that he was a famous designer for the Met. So thank you. I
You're
love it. I love
welcome.
it.
Thank you for letting me go down that rabbit hole. It was very interesting.
I love it. I love it. Now, this next topic, I'm really curious to hear you all's feedback on. And it seems like I literally this has been on the radar all week, and it seems like each day there's more information or another conversation about it. So, long story short, the attorney, she's actually one of the Real Housewives as well, but Ebony, I believe it's Ebony K. Williams. She's an attorney, and she has a podcast on the Griot. She recently had guest Ayanla Van Zant on the show. And so Ayanla had, and we actually talked about this a couple of months ago, Latoya, but Ayanla was on, I think, the Breakfast Club a couple months ago, and she had made a statement about, it's seeming like, especially in single parent households, women being raised to be more masculine and men being raised to be more feminine, basically. And that, Ebony was like, oh, that's intriguing. I want to have more dialogue with her about that. And so in her conversation with Ayanla, she was like, in this day and age where it seems like men are being raised to be more feminine, how as a single woman looking to be in a heterosexual relationship with a man, how do I find that trust, that shelter, that protection, that provision that I'm taught to look for in those types of relationships, And Ayanla said, would you date a bus driver? And it caught her off guard because she was like, first of all, what does that have to do with the question I'm asking you? But then she was like, wait, now would I? And in that moment she said no. And so it sparked a lot of dialogue in the comments with that conversation. There were other interviews and other conversations that she had. She literally doubled down on it. It was like, no, I would not. And here's why, unless he owns the company. And it turned into this whole other conversation about, Blacks feeling like inferior or average, and wanting to being pushed to build on their skills instead of just settling. And so it was a lot of dialogue around that. And I'm like, I understood as she was explaining herself what she was trying to say, but at the same time, I don't think she was willing to own the fact that she as a person does not want to date someone in the working class. And that's just the truth of it for her. And so my question is to y'all, would you date a bus driver? Why or why not?
We'll let our unmarried folks answer this question.
Mishay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll go first. I don't mind, Steph. I was gonna let you go, but I would. I realized that a lot of our priorities in this day and time have been kind of messed up and misconstrued. A lot of people are looking. In a way, I kind of understood some of what she was saying, but I cannot fully agree. And it's okay for that to be okay for her.
Yeah.
But for me, especially having seen people at different levels, I can say that it's not even about the occupation per se for me. It's really about your integrity in everything that you do. So whether you are a bus driver or a teacher or a lawyer or but it doesn't matter to me. I want to know that you have good integrity. I want to know that you know how to lead your family. I want to know that you care about me. If we're in a relationship or married, because really at this age, I am not out here trying to play. Like the goal is marriage. Yeah. So honestly, that's another piece of the puzzle for me. What are your goals? So whether a person is a bus driver or even a trash truck driver, and the other thing I realized too, people tend to judge people in different occupations, but you don't really know. Like that might be that person's main occupation, but that person's hobby or passion project or passion may be something that makes them more money. Mm-hmm. But that's not what they kind of wear on their sleeve. You don't see that all the time, especially because some people truly are humble and they don't have to show you that everything that they do. They don't have to, like now I guess we're in the day and time where everyone has to record every good act and good deed that they do. But yeah, just to sum it up, I would date a bus driver. I because I feel like I'm not dating your occupation. I'm dating your integrity.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, Steph.
And once I get $1 million, and if I'm still like in the education, you won't know. Mm-hmm. Nobody will know.
Very valid. Very valid.
Right.
I'm not trying to tell people.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I understand the sentiment behind it, but I think like oftentimes, especially in like American culture, people equate your work with your worth. And I like after being laid off and being like, I'm not above any job. I don't think it's realistic for me to say I'm not going to date a bus driver, but there's a caveat. Like you got to be bringing some other stuff to the table. Like I actually do believe in like the biblical role of a man to be a provider, but I don't necessarily think that that is wrapped up in what you do for work. Like there are a lot of other ways to provide. So I think judging based off of like this one facet is very superficial. So we just got to dig a little bit deeper to understand like what else are you bringing to the table? Because I'm bringing a lot. So like those same expectations I have for myself, I expect of a partner as well, but they don't have to look the exact same way for me personally.
Yes, because my sis, she's in tech, y'all. She
But tech is like, it's just that's my interest. You don't have to be in tech, but we gotta be doing something.
doing something. Yes, I understand.
I love it. I love it. Your brother-in-law over here is repping for you.
Ryan knows.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, and if it's okay, I would like to go back on something that's said. I totally agree with also what we're bringing to the table, because if you're with the person you're supposed to be with, it doesn't matter what their occupation was when you met them. If you're the person they're supposed to be with, then you have the tools necessary to cultivate whatever is in them. And that's what women or a wife is supposed to do. A woman who is prepared and able to be a wife. That is what she is willing and able to do. Cultivate what is in that man. Because sometimes, especially, we know how men are. Sometimes men may have something that they want to do and may not know how to fully execute it until we come along. And I'm no one's we just yet, no one's wife just yet. But of course, when I look at Toya and Maya, and I'm like, okay, I know the guys were great before, but I'm pretty sure, and I think I saw Ryan in the comments. I'm pretty sure that they will say that their life is better. And actually, I've heard them say this before, but their life is better because of their wives, and even Sean, So, and I actually, I know we're not on this topic, but Steve Harvey actually said the same thing recently as well about his wife. And it just makes me think, like, even though people are always talking about what are we bringing to the table, and people were getting mad about what a woman brings to the table, the responses that I had heard in the months leading up to this had been very, very superficial, like Steph said. But then when I sat back and thought about things more recently with this conversation that was impending, I started to think like, okay, what I bring to the table is I have the ability to cultivate the man that God has as my husband.
Amen. I love that. That's awesome, Mishay. Thank you for sharing such rich feedback, ladies. And I mean, y'all hit the nail on the head. I think at the end of the day, it is about, integrity over occupation and what they're bringing to the table and how they are fulfilling that godly mandate to, protect, provide, priest over their household, all of that. So it's important, very important. So,
Yeah.
all right, ladies, I'm sure this is a hot one. So I'm sure you're going to hear more and more topics about or a conversation about this topic. But yes, I will go ahead and turn it on over to Toya as we talk about hot topics from the season.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys have caught up on all of our episodes this season, but we had some really interesting topics throughout the entire season. One of the topics is on sex, lies, and confessions. And we had Miss Hope Dimps here with us. And she talked about some lessons learned, and she got really vulnerable and really transparent. So I don't know if you guys watched that one, but she gave like some really great tips and advice, and really shared a lot with the Becoming Eva audience. So my question to you all, since you're not married yet, what are some of the lessons that you all have learned as a single person dating?
Is it my turn to go first? I would say something that I like really struggled with when I first started getting into serious relationships is thinking that the harder or better that I loved someone, the more that would be reciprocated. And so it took a long time for me to learn that like someone's love for me is not dependent on the actions or words or like whatever I do. Like someone will love you for you independent of that. And so, yeah, that was probably my biggest lesson, I think.
That's good. That's a really good one. Because you can't love somebody into loving you the way you need to be loved. Like,
That's true.
God has to give them that. So that's good.
What about you, Mishay?
So I definitely agree with that stuff. That's a great one. I've learned so many lessons. Um, wow, and I probably should have written it down. Like I had it, and then I heard stuff, and my mind went left. But and it's mainly because I've learned so many lessons. I want to say, I guess I'll say one of the I think one of the lessons I've learned, I guess it has been from watching the story, the journeys of people who are married that I care about, and it's like people. A lot of people want that butterfly feeling, and a lot of people can give you that butterfly feeling. But the thing I learned is that I want someone who understands that it's for more than just a butterfly feeling. It's more than just having someone on your arm. But you know what? So Tim Ross, I think that's a great example. I know he is kind of controversial, but one thing that he said, I think describes what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. He was saying a lot of people get married to people for the person that they know. But what people don't realize, and that's how come so many marriages end in divorce. But what a lot of people don't realize is what you're really saying I do to is you're saying I do to the person you don't know. You're saying I do pretty much to the situations and circumstances that you don't know will happen. And so the lesson I've learned is to look beyond some of the things that could be kind of seemingly superficial and kind of watch a person's actions and see how they move and see how they operate in different seasons, because how they operate in different seasons, even when it's something outside of anything dealing with you, is how they will operate in different seasons with issues concerning you.
Amen. I love all of that. I'll say for me, when I was in that dating world, and it wasn't like super long ago, so I mean, maybe what, 11 years, 10 or 11 years ago or something like that. I would say I definitely had to get past some of those superficial things like appearances and things like that, and really look at the heart and integrity and character of that person that I was potentially dating, because I did entertain or waste, I would say, some of my time on dating people that I knew weren't for me. And it was just kind of like something to do, I guess. I was kind of like, I want to just go out, have fun, stuff like that. And I would caution people on doing that. But I was learning. I didn't really have like a mentor, like kind of helping me to understand how to date, and just valuing myself and my time. And I would say for me, I really started praying when I would have opportunities to date men. I would definitely pray first. And then if God told me it was a no, I really cut it off. I tried to, at least like quickly, so that I didn't continue, engaging in that relationship. So I would say for me, I've definitely learned to go to God with any potential person.
That is good. And your husband is in here chiming saying, yes, it was that long ago. But I just want to just note that. But I think the definitely prayer is important, but then also too, like being obedient to what God shows you, because I think we as women, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Mishay, like we have in us just that ability, that natural innate ability to want to nurture and cultivate, which is there for a reason, but it's there for your spouse. It's there for who you're supposed to be a helpmate to. It's not there for who you trying to make it work with. It's not there for who God done told you no, move on, and you like, but I could fix him. I could, So when God says no, we say no, we align with that, and that can be hard, if we lonely, if you fine, if all kinds of stuff, but we're getting older, but that obedience is key. And then the other piece, I would say, for me personally, I had a different um perspective when it came to dating. I kissed dating goodbye, if anybody remembers that book. And in college and as a young adult, I was like, I'm focusing on the Lord. And literally, I mean, anytime I was in conversation with anybody, it was literally like a sign on my forehead, or at least it seemed like literally a sign on my forehead, like, don't mess with me. And it was just there for a good 10 years. And I remember in my late 20s being like, okay, God, like, show me how to take the sign off so I can engage with the opposite sex in a healthy way, like in a healthy way, not 0 to 100. Like for me, it was don't look at me, don't talk to me, or, oh my God, you're my husband. And really having to find that middle ground where I could have healthy dialogue with the opposite sex without going down the rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, how does his last name sound with mine? What are our children going to look like? Like literally having to learn how to cultivate that. And in the season right before my husband and I started dating, I dated probably about 2 or 3 different guys, like back to back, just because God was showing me how to engage with the opposite sex. And so when my husband and I finally started dating, like I it was funny because I was like, God, you have a great sense of humor, because here I am dating these dudes that, I've known for maybe a year or two, whatever. And I had known Chris for like almost a decade. We had been friends. And I was like, God, okay, he gonna end up being my husband, ain't he? I see it. Okay, God, great. Literally the day he asked me out, I remember telling my friend, actually Hope, at the time, I was like, we're gonna end up getting married, Hope. I just And so it was, just amazing how God did that. But it was a journey that I was on where I had to learn how to have those healthy boundaries and dynamics and conversations and all of that, how to healthy engage with the opposite sex in a healthy way. So yes, great tips, ladies.
And I definitely agree with that obedience piece, because right before I did meet Ryan, I was dating someone, and this was like our second go around. Like I had dated him like years ago, and then it came back around again, and it was a no back then. And so when God was like, no, I cut it off. And then I think about a few weeks later is when I actually met Ryan at church. And so reflecting back, if I would have held on to that relationship, like that could have stopped me from meeting Ryan. It could have like prolonged me meeting my potential husband, if I would have just stayed in that relationship. So I think it's very important to be obedient so that, you don't want to prolong your blessing that may be right around the corner. And I think it was literally like 2 or 3 weeks after I was like, no. And that's when I met Ryan. So I do want to talk a little bit about what are some lies that you have possibly told yourself and believed while you were dating someone. Mishay, I think it's your turn to go first.
My turn. Yeah,
I have known Stephanie her
whole life.
That is what she was saying.
So I think one of the lies is probably goes back to what Steph said earlier. That if I just love this person more, if I just am a little bit more tolerant with this person, than the stories that they told me of people before me. If I just give my all, if I deplete myself, then maybe they'll think about filling me up. I think those are some of the lies that that I told myself, those were some of the lies I think that were the most maybe toxic. I don't want to say detrimental, because in the end, again, is I'm in a season where God is really refocusing my perspective on a lot of things. Um, even the really painful situations that gave me the perspective to know that I need to take some time and sit on a of course in football they would call it the injured reserve. I was on the heart injured reserve bench for quite some time, and to the point where I would not even I would tell people, oh, I'm flattered, I'm not entertaining one at this time, and I did this for a couple years. But thank you. So therefore I'm not hurting your ego. Well, I don't know, you know how some guys are, you still hurting their ego. But yeah, but some of those thoughts, some of those lies that I told myself, I think led me, I guess, here down another rabbit hole. No wonder why Bugs Bunny was my favorite. Led me down a rabbit hole that I was able to tap into to reform my perspective. When I started to like really, really tap into, okay, God, like I want to be healthy. I want to date in a healthy way. I want to be better for the person. So anyway, to sum it up, yeah, those lies about being more and giving more are some of the lies that I really, really told myself. Okay, Steph, tag, you're in.
I would say it took me a long time to like find serious dating partners. And so like growing up in a predominantly like white area with people with like Eurocentric features and those types of things took me a long time to realize that like it's not that I was undesirable, it was just the undesired audience. And it took me a long time to think like, what's wrong with me? Why are people not romantically interested in me? And I think, just not to throw my sister under the bus, but like by comparison, she had a lot of people constantly like, wanting to be with her, date her, whatever. She had a lot of romantic interests. By comparison, I did not. So just kind of like, comparison, thief of joy type of thing made me believe that I was undesirable for a long time. And then when I went to college, I was like, oh, like that was just the lie that I was telling myself. And that's definitely not the case. There are people interested. You just have to find the ones who are. So that's like not necessarily while I was dating, but a lie that I told myself while I was not dating, because that was just not my reality growing up. And then I would say, like, as I started seriously dating, I used to think that like healthy relationships had no conflict, or that there was no like healthy way to have conflict. And so I would like, be frustrated or annoyed when conflict happened, and I would be quick to write people off. So I just had to find a lot of mentors and, even therapy to figure out like, no, like you'll have conflict in any relationship, but like learning to manage it and do so in a healthy way was something that I had to kind of think about and overcome.
Yeah, wow. She threw me all the way up under the bus.
Oh, that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's just
I'm telling y'all, I was entertaining unhealthy. I'm being honest. I was just dating people just because it was fun. And like I'm being honest. I was here in Atlanta by myself, basically. So like if I needed help with my car, like I needed someone. I had
batting them lashes like
I some oil in my someone that was really into cars. But then I like this person. Like
Toya was calling the boy next door. The rest of us were calling AAA. So that's that.
I love it. But that's okay. Like you said, comparison, can be the thief of joy. So don't be looking to your right and your left, like, what God, and honestly, that could have been God's protection for you, so you just never know. Everybody has their own path for a reason. But
that's true. Because I did have to discern a lot of wolves in sheep clothing. Mm-hmm. It was not fun, like doing that. Like when I thought I was meeting like a Christian man, and then then the wolf would come out, and I was like, whoa, where did this come from? So I did a lot of growing and a lot of maturing to really understand what a real godly man was about. And not like just someone that would talk the talk because they knew I was a Christian. And it It was not a fun path. It was not. I would not advise it for my girls either.
Oh, that is
Yeah, I can definitely say that, another lie that came to mind that I told myself when was because that went for a long time. I was raised in the church. Like I have a niece that's like 14 months younger than me, and then my other nieces they're like maybe like just about 2 years and 3 years younger than me, but we're all really close. And I'm like, okay, these church guys always after them, but no church guys come after me. So I'm telling myself that there's something wrong with me. And as I began to grow in my walk with Christ, um, even the more, because when you're younger, a lot of times you're still kind of living off of your parents' oil, like everything that every connection that they had and taught you about, you're still kind of living off of that. So
yeah.
as the trials and tribulations came, and I started moving into my own walk more, I started saying, okay, oh, this Christian guy likes me. I had to also understand the difference between a good godly man and a wolf in sheep's clothing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we had another interesting guest on our show who came and talked about love, marriage, and relationships with Damia. And I wanted to know, why is loving God and loving self just as important, if not more important, than loving others?
I would just say, I think the age old saying, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so,
Yeah.
if you don't understand the way that God loves you, you can't emulate that same love towards other people. And I'm an empath. So, like, I always want to love people in the way that they desire, in a way that emulates the light inside of me through the Holy Spirit. And so, if you don't love yourself first, if you don't see yourself as created in God's image, then you don't have that love to give.
I definitely agree, and I think that was great stuff. Another thing that I look at when I look at loving God is all all the true characteristics of love. Love is, it is God, it is in God, and I think once you learn to love God, that you learn to love yourself more. You see what He thinks of you. You see how He created you and what He expects you and wants you to be, and you put more value into that than you do into what other people feel, because you know that people's perspectives are different. And yeah, so I really think that just knowing the love of God and the characteristics of God teaches you how to love yourself better.
And I'll also add, I don't know if people listen to Brene Brown, but she talks a lot about, like, boundary setting as a way to emulate love. And I think that's very true. Like, when you have your own boundaries, then you tend to respect other people's boundaries as well. So I think that's important too.
Yes, that's very great advice. Boundary setting. Yes. We also featured a series on Becoming Eva this season called Her Story. And we had a lot of special guests that shared their different journeys on career, wife, mom, entrepreneurship, dating, all kinds of different things. Can you all tell us a little bit about some of the different hats that you wear, and what are the most challenging ones that you wear?
Okay, I know the order now, Steph. I know it's my turn. Oh no, honestly, I do wear a lot of hats. You know, I'm trying not to say my job. I'll say policy analyst, and just sister, daughter, godmother, friend, encourager. And even some of the roles in ministry. Some of those roles, I guess they all kind of tie into each other for me in one way or another. But I realize that I am. I think I'm sorry, all of my roles are coming to my head. I don't want to take up all this time. It's very interesting when I think about some of the roles that I have, because I'm like, I see myself as encouraging people a lot of times. And as I encourage people, sometimes sometimes I begin to pour from an empty cup. So I'm kind of thinking about what Steph said sometimes. And sometimes people don't realize that you also have things going on. Um, so I'm sorry. I kind of went off on a tangent. I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at the question to remind myself.
Oh, what's your most challenging?
What are some of the different hats that you wear? What? Okay, yes. I was my rabbit hole. So yeah, so the most I think some of the most challenging are the ones that aren't necessarily named. That's where I was trying to go, and that would be like the encourager, the exhorter, the one that the listener, the one that a lot of people rely on. And this is no shade to them or anything, because when you've been there for people and you always are extending a hand, sometimes people they look for that. And so I think that some of the challenging roles are really based on me not setting boundaries. There's that word again. Because I don't want to turn people away, but then I find myself being kind of like drained or just like, yeah, kind of needing a refill. So yeah, so to answer that in full, some of my greatest challenge or most challenging roles are the ones that aren't necessarily seen or spoken. There's like the behind the scenes roles.
That's good. Yeah, and I can agree that some of the ones I wear are daughter, sister, friend, auntie, Googler, like so many different ones. But I think the one that's most challenging is also the most rewarding, which is like daughter of the Most High King. Like that's it for me. Like if that's the only hat that I ever wear, like that will suffice. But I think it's also the most challenging because how I wear that hat, like day to day, determines how I show up in other areas of my life. And how I wear that hat ultimately determines how I wear other hats. So, like, if I am not showing up as the daughter of the Most High King, I'm going to be snappy. I'm not going to be like the fun auntie. I'm going to be tired. So, like, those are all wrapped up in the most important hat for me. One of the hats that I am taking off or trying to, like, make a smaller hat is like perfectionist. So yeah, there's a lot of different hats, but I would say the most challenging is the most rewarding, which is God's daughter.
I love that.
Maya, that runs
love
in the family. It runs in the family.
It's the truth.
Hey, I think women in general, we just carry that perfectionist title. I'm a recovering perfectionist, but it's real because we just feel like, that's how we, thrive when we're affirmed. And we oftentimes feel like in order to be affirmed, we have to be perfect when, not one is perfect outside of the Lord Jesus Christ. So
That's true.
yeah. But I love how actually you all kind of balanced each other with your answers, with your responses, because what you were talking about, Mishay, as far as your most challenging role, the way in which to, be replenished and refueled in order to give the way that you do in those different hats that you wear is by prioritizing the hat that you were talking about, Stephanie. Like, I love that because when we do prioritize that hat, it gives us everything that we need, including knowing when to say no and when to set boundaries, for those other hats that we may wear. So that's really good.
I definitely agree. I think like everything you said definitely tied into the next thing. I've definitely also learned when I need to shut down to refill, because if I goes back to the boundaries thing, everything you just said. Because if I don't, um, it's not that those people don't care, but they have a need. So if I don't shut it down, if I don't set that boundary, then they're not going to know to respect that boundary. So I definitely agree. And just a quick caveat: if you see me go off the screen again, it's allergy season. I don't.
Oh,
I don't. Sorry, I'm doing my best. I don't want. I see if I feel myself about to sneeze or have a sneezing fit. I just don't want the world to mess up your podcast from me sneezing.
I was wondering why you kept turning that camera off.
I was like, they're going to kill me. Sorry.
all good.
Maya, did you want to transition into notable women and you want to highlight any of her story guests?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I do want to just for notable women, for that series, we actually talked about a lot of women that are thriving in their areas of passion. And so I do want to ask both of you, because both of you are extremely well-rounded women that have so many different hats that we just talked about, and then areas of interest and areas in which you're excelling. Can both of you share the areas that you're passionate about? I would love to hear that.
I think it is
Yeah,
Stephanie's turn.
Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let's see. What am I passionate about? I don't know. I mean, I think there are a lot of like hobbies that I've developed, but none of my like true passions are tied to anything relating to labor. Like I don't enjoy working. I don't dream of labor. Somehow the bills have to be paid. But I am like super passionate about like traveling and like family and making sure that I always have some type of outlet, like creative outlet. So I would say those are things that I'm passionate about. But yeah, none have to do with labor.
That's all right. That's all right. What about you, Mishay?
Yeah. So some of the things I believe I'm most passionate about are probably some of the things that I probably needed to set boundaries with. I love people most days. No, I'm just joking. I love people all days. But sometimes I put a lot more energy into those people than I do into maybe myself or the other things that God has for me to do. The other thing, of course, is uh, radio, internet radio, uh, Christian hip hop, like Christian. I'll just say Christian music in general, because there's so many subgenres, and even helping some of the artists advance, because there are some artists who, well, now these days it seems like they don't need us as much because they have social media, but there are some older artists that may be more like in the actual gospel space, who actually, they don't know about the whole graphic side and everything like that, or they're doing their best. So just like, helping people in like the Christian space kind of up their social media, and especially the artists. So those are some of the things that I am very passionate about. But also, like Steph, I love traveling. I love family. I love spending time with family. Yeah. So, and also I kind of want to write a book.
All right.
But yeah, we'll come back to that. I haven't done it yet, but I'm passionate about it in my heart.
That's all right. And that, I mean, literally, I asked that question because we've really been diving in this season about how to turn your passions into, your purpose and what you're actually pursuing. And so, are there any steps that either of you are actively taking to pursue those passions, or is there anything that may have resonated with you from, something that one of our guests shared as far as steps, practical steps to take on how to pursue what you're passionate in?
And so I cannot remember the lady's name right now, and I feel so bad. But
That's okay.
the last show.
Okay. Oh, it was probably for our Cynthia was our last one from last
Cynthia,
week.
that's her name. I knew it was a C. I don't know why I wanted to say Claudia. Please forgive me, Cynthia. That was, it was just very enlightening and refreshing. Everyone, like that's why I don't like saying favorites. But that one, it lit an extra spark in me, because I do also have a passion for helping to mentor younger girls. And I guess I didn't even think about that in the list of things, because it kind of comes second. Well, when we were in buildings of the church more, it came second nature to me, because they tend to gravitate towards me. And I can definitely say, like, the things that I've been through in life and even in my childhood allowed me to relate more to some of these children than some of the other people that maybe they've gone to. So that last episode, some of the things that she said really, really lit a fire in me and made me want to do all of the other things I mentioned in my passion project, to kind of set the stage for maybe mentoring younger females.
I love that. Cynthia Crawford, y'all. Check her out at confidentlywalk.com.
I would say since I moved to Atlanta, I have been on a business sabbatical. I haven't really done much with candles, and it just was becoming like way more work than it was fun. So just trying to think about like how do I strategize around that? Does that mean like hiring other employees to help with stuff? Does that mean only running the business from like October to January? So just kind of like thinking about what strategy would fit with my life as opposed to trying to say like how do I, fit my life around candles, thinking about like how do candles fit into my life. And I would also just say like from a theology and like biblical perspective, actually getting a really firm understanding of like what my theology is around some controversial topics that have been super hot and super popular lately. So those are the two things that I've been passionate about lately.
I love that. I love that. Thank you both for sharing. I know we're drawing nigh on time, but I do want to ask, like, do any of you have anything that you wanted to share that may have resonated with you from this season in particular? I mean, we covered and talked about so much, so just don't want to leave anything out. If anyone had anything they wanted to share before we start to close out.
Paula Bryan Ellis really stood out to me because of her journey in corporate America and then pursuing her passion in the film industry. I thought it was amazing how she shared that. Also thought Rita's impacted me in the sense of, since I have little girls, the toiletry talks and talking about puberty and having those like practical conversations, getting the little toiletry kit. I did purchase an additional kit and some other things, but even her mentoring program, I'm going to definitely try to sign Ryla up for the mentoring program this summer. So I was just like, I'm so glad we connected with her.
Yeah.
Because it's impactful in my personal life. Because I don't know if you listened to that one, Stephanie, but I don't think I had like a real conversation with anything about like puberty and like your periods and stuff like that, your cycle. So I thought that episode was really impactful. And then Wanda's was impactful too. Just learning about the different things that she's doing. And she just launched her Chosen 5-day devotional on the YouVersion app. So that was really amazing for that connection. So it was just like, I was doing a lot of learning with all the different guests that we had this season. I feel like I have to go back and rewatch it. And then Dr. Nina, we can't forget about Dr. Nina.
Yes.
All of her hilarious comments that she had on the show about her chocolate drop and how she has to manage ministry, family, all the different avenues of all the different hats that she wears. Like, I thought that was really impactful to hear her perspective on life in general and family.
I love it. We had a rich season this year. Just a lot of incredible women and incredible stories and journeys. So I learned a lot every episode, and just felt so honored, for them to be a part of the BE community and to be willing to share their story on our platform. So it was an amazing season. Amazing season. So y'all heard it. If you didn't catch it before, go back and watch. They're on YouTube and Facebook, and of course the podcast app. Can't forget that. Spotify. Go back, watch, listen, learn, grow, develop, all of that. So, but ladies, it's been incredible having both of you on the show. I know y'all are incredible encouragers and cheerleaders for Becoming Eva behind the scenes. So I thank you for coming to the forefront today, center stage, to share and to just, enrich our lives from your perspectives, your experiences, your stories, your lessons learned, all of that. We've been just so blessed by it. Any final words of wisdom that anyone wants to share?
No words of wisdom, but thanks for having us. And it's been so fun watching you and my sister grow season over season. And I can't wait to see what y'all have on deck for next.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Yes.
Yes, I agree. Same, same here. Because I feel like, well, I guess anyone can gain wisdom. People tend to say I have a lot of wisdom, but I think I'm in a season of kind of learning right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I maybe if you all have me back in the future season, I will have some nuggets of wisdom that I would like to pour into others. But as of right now, I just want to say thank you all so much. Thank you so so much.
I love it. And in case y'all didn't know, you have dropped plenty of wisdom before now. So don't feel like, and even just the fact of you acknowledging I'm in a season of learning right now, I think it takes wisdom to say that, quite honestly, because we like to always say, oh, I know this or I've got that or whatever. But like for you to actually acknowledge, I'm just taking in stuff right now. I think there's wisdom in that as well. So thank you all so much. Shall we transition into noble character?
Yes. So Noble Character is a segment that we have on our show. Um, if you all have a woman of noble character that you would recognize, maybe someone in the community that has inspired you, someone that is helping her community in any capacity, now's the time that you can acknowledge that person and tell us why you want to acknowledge that person as a noble character.
I don't remember whose turn it is, so I'll go. I would say Lisa Harper. I don't know her personally, but she has been super instrumental in breaking down biblical theology in bite-sized pieces. And it's always my goal and part of my journey to know God better in a way that's relatable and that makes sense to me. So she's been instrumental in doing that. She's got some podcasts. I think it's called Back Porch Theology. She's got books, sermons, etc. And they actually do a trip to Israel. So I'm hoping to eventually be on one of those trips, but love her.
I love that. All right, Lisa Harper, you are a woman of noble character. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Stephanie.
So this is the part. This is the one segment that I like least when I'm on here, but I love the most. I'm not, and that's because I'm just not one for like kind of. Well, I guess sometimes you do have favorites, but I don't want to necessarily say it. But as I thought about this, I was just gonna get real churchy and just say Esther, but from the Bible. But I am, but I'm actually going to go ahead and make a decision and just say I'm kind of one where I kind of like the underdogs or people that people don't know as well. And one I would have to say who has been near and dear to my heart, who has served as like someone that provides guidance and even now my leader, and that's Dr. Kenya Miller from Jacksonville, Florida. She
Amen.
is the apostle of Rehoboth, Jacksonville, also known as Rehoboth Hospital Church while we're in a transition period. And she is the second presiding bishop of, okay, I don't want to mess it up, but yeah, I don't want to mess all that up. And she's also not one that's big on titles. She wears the titles well and represents them well with integrity, but she's not one that's even big on titles. But I can say that she has been so instrumental. The nuggets that she pours, 5:45 in the morning, Monday, Wednesday,
Hmm.
Friday. She's on Facebook. I don't know if anyone follows me, you'll see me on there. Doing my best to help moderate. And just like listening to the nuggets of wisdom I think that's really played a huge role in how and why my perspective has been changing in this season. So
Amen.
Dr. J. Miller.
Dr. Kenya J. Miller. So, Dr. Kenya J. Miller, you are a woman of noble character. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, ladies. It's been amazing. So, I do not want to forget this is our last episode for this season, but I'm going to put a link in the chat for those that are interested. We are trying to figure out, actually, as we're moving forward, and mapping out, next season 7 and, seasons to come, how can we better serve the BE community? So if you haven't already, complete the survey in the chat and on the screen. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, who you enjoyed hearing from, who you would like to hear from. And then from an event perspective, let us know if you're interested in doing a retreat or us doing a retreat, I should say, or a conference or some type of open mic event or something like that, like let us know. We want to hear from you so that we can better serve you. So
yes. And as always, don't forget to grab your merch at
yes.
today. Get your shirts, get your mugs. Come support us. We've got a lot of interesting things on the website: dresses, shoes, hats, shirts, all kinds of cute things for the summer. So check it out. Did you have anything to add about that?
I was going to say, and we're here for the next generation. We've got youth sizes. We've got onesies for the babes. So we are all about training them up in the BE way. So get your merch. It's butterfly season on becomingeva.com, becomingevatoday.com. So.
And once again, thank you so much, Mishay and Stephanie, for joining us today. We will see you guys soon for season 7.
Yes.
We hope you guys have a great summer. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Becoming Eva Today. See you guys soon.
See you soon.